On behalf of the National Black Justice Coalition, it is my honor to welcome you to the second annual James Baldwin Legacy Awards. We are humbled by the opportunity to celebrate the contributions of Black, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and same-gender loving men and masculine non-binary elders make to improve opportunities and outcomes for members of our beautifully diverse community. If you hear nothing else over the course of the time that I have the opportunity to speak today, I hope each of you hear my heart when I say thank you. In addition to honoring our trailblazers, I'm excited for you all to hear from our torchbearers. And we're honored to host this virtual ceremony today, which is International Senior Citizens Day. Too often, the contributions of and really needs of our elders and the aging are neglected and ignored, which is one of the reasons why we are grateful for our partnership with AARP. Thank you to you for helping us to honor and support these legendary and iconic members of our community. With this partnership in mind, watch this video.
Good evening. On behalf of AARP, our CEO, Joanne Jenkins, our Executive Vice President and Chief Diversity Officer, Edna Kane-Williams, and our over 38 million members across the United States, I want to extend my welcome to you to this wonderful celebration. I'm John Paul Hayworth, and I'm delighted to serve as the Audience Director for the LGBTQ plus community at AARP. This new role within AARP's Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion is only the most recent example of how AARP has committed to social justice, civil, and human rights issues. AARP is proud to be a sponsor of the National Black Justice Coalition and the James Baldwin Awards. It is our honor to be part of this celebration tonight of the awardees, and I want to extend my personal thanks to each of them. You are inspiring, and I'm thrilled that we have the opportunity to publicly recognize you and your accomplishments. AARP has earned a reputation as a wise friend and fierce defender through trusted information, tools, and advocacy designed to protect the health and financial security of all older Americans and empower them to choose how they live as they age. I want to share a short video with you that will help explain more about why AARP is here tonight.
Our story begins more than 60 years ago inside an abandoned chicken coop, where our founder discovered a retired teacher living, no home, no health care. So she said no to this injustice and yes to transforming lives. It's this drive, this compassion that inspired AARP. Today, we empower people to choose how they live as they age. As a wise friend and fierce defender, we advocate for better health, financial security, and stronger communities. AARP, join us in making a difference.
Today's AARP fights for equality in issues like health, employment, affordable housing, and at its heart, the freedom to live our truth without fear and with equality under the law. I invite all of those being honored and those in attendance at today's event to reach out to me and the other members of the ODEI team to learn more about AARP and our commitment to the work of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We celebrate your unwavering commitment to the Black community as you shine a light on the accomplishments, achievements, experiences, and wisdom of the LGBTQ SGL Black elders. Thank you for being a part of the work of the National Black Justice Coalition by being here tonight. AARP stands with NBJC in fighting for LGBTQ SGL equity for Black individuals, families, and communities. Working together, we will create a world where all can thrive. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, John Paul, for your partnership and your support and for those words. We're really grateful again to have such an incredible partnership with AARP. And now it is my honor to introduce our first torchbearer, Pastor Aaron Wade. Pastor Wade is the former senior pastor and founder at the Community Church of Washington, D.C., United Church of Christ, which has a motto of a church for all people. Pastor Wade, take it away.
We always talk about going to heaven. I'm not waiting to die to go to heaven. I'm working to create heaven right here on earth. These are words from one of my friends, Bishop Rainey Cheeks. Bishop Cheeks has been a conduit in building communities centered on unconditional love and service. Bishop Cheeks is a sage, and throughout his life, he has worn many hats. A native of Washington, D.C., at the age of 14, Cheeks wanted to become a professional athlete, small, scrawny, and skinny little boy, and everyone laughed at him. He began to study Taekwondo. Throughout his years in Taekwondo, he eventually earned the title, one of the highest titles, of Grand Master, and today is acknowledged in the International Hall of Fame with the rank of Grand Master. Bishop Cheeks shifted after reaching the status and became an instructor, as he wanted to influence many lives and teach techniques and help to create folk who can be passionate and be able to reach their goals in Taekwondo. Among all of these works, he's also studied business and psychology. Upon completing his studies, he began managing a dance club in DC called the Clubhouse. And if you know anything about the Clubhouse, it was one of the largest clubs in the district. Had many fun nights, many social hours that went late into the evenings and sometimes the morning. But the key was they didn't serve alcohol. Everyone knew they had to have served alcohol, having partied all night and enjoyed their life authentically. They knew alcohol had to be there, but it was never served. In 1982, Cheeks graduated from the National Spiritual Science Center in Washington, D.C., a metaphysical training center where he also learned techniques of metaphysics. He also earned his Doctorate of Divinity from St. Andrew's Theological Seminary in London in 1999. Having all this training, he set forth to do ministry work in a practical, real way. The first thing he did was started a ministry known as Us Helping Us in 1985. That's a community-based organization in Washington, D.C. This organization over the years have served over 500,000 people in health and HIV advocacy. Bishop Cheeks also is the founder of Inner Light Ministry, one of the first inclusive churches here in the District of Columbia that was started in July of 1993. He also was one of the pioneer architects of the denomination known as Unity Fellowship, which is a national inclusive denomination here in the district and across the United States. Bishop Cheeks has added so much value to this nation and to the world, so much that often goes unnoticed, maybe to himself and to others. James Baldwin was a writer, a poet, a playwright, advocate, Black, proud, outspoken change agent that was Black and gay. These are all descriptors that not only are befitting for James Baldwin, but certainly for Bishop Cheeks. Today, I want to thank the National Black Justice Coalition for their work in partnership with AARP to produce the James Baldwin Legacy Award. And what greater person to be honored among these living legends? None other than my friend, Bishop Rainey Cheeks. I want to take this moment to take our hats off, to hold and give a toast to for the great, outstanding achievements that Bishop Rainey Cheeks have brought to us that's oftentimes unnoticed. Thank you, Bishop Cheeks, for your sacrifice, for your labor, and for your commitment to authenticity.
I thank you. It's nothing more honorable than being honored by your own folks. And I recently did say to someone, I said, I truly accept the role of elder. It is an honored position. Some people try to run away from it, but I embrace it to its fullest. So I thank you for this honor. I thank you for being in such a group of gay Black men that have led the way and have cut paths for others to follow. I simply hope that I lay a trail that's honorable enough for others to look at and make it easier for those that are coming behind me. So it is with great honor that I accept this award from the National Black Justice Coalition. Thank you so much for considering me worthy of receiving such a high honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Elder Bishop. We are grateful for you and all that you have done and will continue to do, not only for our community, but for our country and countrymen throughout the diaspora. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Next up is my brother, a dear friend and colleague, Dorian Blethers, who is going to be introducing our brother, Cornelius. Dorian currently serves as a Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations at the Environmental Protection Agency, also known as EPA. Dorian, take it away.
Hello, my name is Dorian Paul Blethers, and after nearly 15 years in our nation's capital as an organizer, an advocate, a trusted aide, and now senior executive in the halls of Washington, I've come to appreciate and always remember that the path that I walk along was paved well before I got here. Today, I ask you to join me in honoring one of those incredible trailblazers, Eugene Gene Cornelius Jr. Let me tell you about Gene. Gene is the Senior Director at the Milken Institute's Center for Regional Economics, responsible for federal, state, and local small business policy coordination. He's been appointed by President Biden to the advisory board of the U.S. Exim Bank, and he advises the Minority Wealth Commission. Prior to his current role, he held a distinguished career in public service, most recently as senior advisor to the Office of International Trade at the U.S. Small Business Administration. At the International Council of Small Business at George Washington University, he brought his extensive international experience and executive leadership to the ICSB global program between the United States and 10 allied countries around the world that are interested in learning best practices on how to establish small business support agencies. As these awards are named after our iconic brother, James Baldwin, Gene Cornelius Jr.'s life is a living example of some of Baldwin's truest words. You have to decide who you are and force the world to deal with you, not with its idea of you. It's my distinct honor and privilege to toast you, Gene Cornelius. You are a role model and inspiration and the best among us. Cheers.
Greetings. My name is Monique Fortenberry, and Eugene Cornelius is my longtime mentor and dear friend. Eugene wanted to be here in person with every fiber of his being to accept this honor from the National Black Justice Coalition, but due to circumstances beyond his control, he is unable to be here. In his absence, I am here to accept the award on his behalf. Eugene is honored to receive the James Baldwin Legacy Award from the National Black Justice Coalition. He asked me to thank NBJC for partnering with him and the Small Business Administration for the Many Faces, One Dream LGBTQ Empowerment Conference, which was held in 13 major cities across the country. Eugene noted during the tour, quote, "The LGBTQ small business community is helping us create an economy built to last. That is why we are proud to partner with the NBJC, an organization that represents the many faces and true diversity of the movement for full equality." This work is one of the highlights of Eugene's career and a realization of his dreams as a person we affectionately refer to as Mr. SBA. Eugene also asked me to thank his father for creating in Eugene an activist and a proud Black gay man. On behalf of Eugene Cornelius, I thank you for this honor.
Thank you, Monique. And please give our brother all of our love and tell him we thank him and his father as well. Next up is our brother, torchbearer Dwayne Jenkins, who is the president and founder of Nashville Black Pride. He also chairs the board of directors at the Center for Black Equity.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dwayne Jenkins, president of Nashville Black Pride and board chair of the Center for Black Equity. I'm honored to participate in the National Black Justice Coalition's 2022 James Baldwin Legacy Award presentation as a torchbearer to Mr. Earl D. Folks. I've known Earl for 25 years and met him back when I first started in my professional career in HIV/AIDS education. He was present at many of the conferences I attended and witnessed firsthand his wealth of information, wisdom, wealth, and humor as he spoke during a variety of workshops and panels. During one of the groups, he was assigned as my mentor and buddy and took me under his wing beyond that event. Earl helped shape many of the health and advocacy work focused on the lives of Black same-gender loving males and queer men. During a recent convening of the Center for Black Equity Black Pride Leadership Summit held in DC, other organizers shared their stories of how Earl also helped them in their journeys to inspire, educate, empower, and motivate leaders around the country and abroad. We were able to collectively celebrate all that he continues to do to promote a multinational LGBTQ+ network dedicated to improving health and wellness opportunities, economic equity, and equal rights. Earl wears a variety of hats and has changed many lives over his career in coalition, advocacy, and political arenas. It is my great pleasure to raise a toast to my mentor, friend, and colleague, Mr. Earl Folks, the recipient of NBJC's 2022 James Baldwin Legacy Award. Congratulations.
Wow. Thank you very much for those kind words, Dwayne. This is such an incredible honor on so many levels for me. First of all, I'm humbled to receive an award along with my distinguished colleagues named after James Baldwin. Secondly, it brings me great joy to receive this award from my friends at NBJC. NBJC and the CBE were formed approximately the same time. Both organizations have had their ups and downs, which is very common for nonprofit organizations. However, both organizations are now flourishing. I want to acknowledge the hard work and success of Dr. David Johns, Victoria Kirby York, and I can't forget my own Deputy Director, Kenya Hutton, for whom I would not be here without his hard work. Several years ago, someone called me a community elder, and I was taken aback. When did I become a community elder, I thought. Then I recalled when I started this work, I had a head full of hair, at least by my standards, a head full of hair, and no gray in my goatee. I quickly embraced the concept and also embraced my responsibilities as a community elder and leader to teach, encourage, and support young people to prepare them to assume leadership of the movement, which is why most of my staff are in their 20s and 30s. I must also tell you today that the joy I have in my heart for receiving this award is tempered by the knowledge that my dear friend, colleague, and warrior, Michael Henson, is not doing well in Philadelphia. I want to ask that everyone keep Michael, his family, and friends in their thoughts and prayers during this difficult time. I dedicate this award to my brother, Michael Samuel Henson Jr. Thank you very much. I appreciate all of this that's being done for me. Thank you.
No, thank you, brother. We love and appreciate you and all that you have done for so many members of our community throughout the country. Thank you to you and to your team. The next torchbearer is Dr. Roland Stringfellow, who is a senior pastor and teacher at the Metropolitan Community Church in Detroit. And just a personal point of privilege, I want to acknowledge and name that educators do God's work, and we appreciate each of you. Dr. Stringfellow, take it away.
I am the Reverend Dr. Roland Stringfellow with the Center for LGBTQ and Gender Studies at the Pacific School of Religion, as well as the senior pastor of the Metropolitan Community Church of Detroit. I want to speak to you about a friend and a brother of mine who has the courage, foresight, intellect, and tenacity in being a great leader in the spirit of James Baldwin. Reverend Cedric Harmon has been a vanguard in the LGBTQ+ community as he has developed curriculum for people of faith on helping them grapple theologically with inclusion into their congregations and organizing progressive change among communities of color. Cedric is one of the top faith organizers in the nation through his leadership with many voices. He has provided help, hope, and a way forward for many parents, preachers, and even politicians, and helping them accept their LGBTQ family members and members of their community. But behind every great leader is a great staff who supports the work of the visionary leader. I know Cedric has been a wonderful mentor for many up and coming queer leaders of color. He has given of his time, his financial resources, his skills, his talents to benefit those in the LGBTQ plus community and the progressive Christian community. I am always proud of Cedric, and today we celebrate your accomplishments. I am honored to present the James Baldwin Legacy Award to the Reverend Cedric Harmon.
Thank you so much. I am actually thrilled and delighted. I'm so appreciative to Reverend Dr. Roland Stringfellow for his very kind words. Deeply appreciative to the National Black Justice Coalition and Dr. David Johns, AARP for supporting this effort to honor my fellow honorees. Each one in their own right has made and continues to make enormous contributions to our community. In fact, they make an enormous contribution to our world. These contributions are unimaginable in many ways as we seek to develop and create a world that doesn't quite exist at this moment. To imagine a world without injustice. I hope that these awards that are being presented and this august body of leaders will be an inspiration to the viewers and to other up-and-coming leaders, that they too can be engaged in creating a brighter future. As the 21st century rolls along, we must continue the work. Writer, activist, Afrofuturist Adrienne Marie Brown said the following: "All social justice work is science fiction. We are imagining a world free of injustice, a world that doesn't yet exist." It was my dream years ago when I started with Many Voices to create such a world. We continue that work today, and I am deeply, deeply honored and appreciative for being named one of the honorees and recipients of the James Baldwin Legacy Award. Let's continue the work. Thank you so very, very much.
Hear, hear. We most certainly can and will continue the work and are thankful for your steadfast leadership and the example you provide. Thank you, Reverend. Next up is NBJC's very own Camden Hargrove, who serves as our organizing manager. Take it away, Camden.
I am here to celebrate Zaire Kwabena, a friend of many years. So it had been a little while since we had talked, and it was when I first started at the National Black Justice Coalition, and I was reconnecting with a lot of folks. And I called, and we had a great long conversation, and it's supposed to be a half an hour and ended up being much longer. We got to reconnect about work and just check in on everyone's lives and everyone's family. And then afterward, he sent me a postcard just saying, like, "Thank you so much for our time together." And I was like, that is the sweetest, kindest thing. And just the easiest little way to make someone happy and feel good about the time that they spent with somebody. Zaire Kwabena is a Black gay publisher, scholar, community organizer, advocate, mentor, devoted friend, and executive director of LGBT Detroit. Zaire self-identified as gay or same-gender loving at 14 in the summer of 1979 and invited in his community when he was 15 during his first year of high school. With the guidance of LGBTQ SGL older adults and elders from his job at Backroom Designs and from the community, he was introduced to and witnessed a thriving movement in the late 1970s and entered the brave new world of the 1980s. During the height of the HIV/AIDS epidemic in New York in the 1980s, Zaire lost many friends. At the age of 28, Robert E. Pennick III, his childhood best friend, tragically died in his arms. Zaire dedicated his life to Pennick's honor and memory ever since. Zaire founded Kick Publishing Company, the third Black media company house. He co-founded the world's second oldest Black LGBTQ SGL Pride celebration, Hotter Than July, and founded LGBT Detroit, an education and advocacy organization. In 2016, LGBT Detroit became the first Black-led LGBTQ SGL organization in America to own its headquarters and surrounding property. This safe, brave space in Detroit solidifies a commitment to furthering LGBT Detroit's mission to increase the prominence and visibility of the city's LGBTQ SGL culture and build a strong, healthy, and vibrant community with a focus on youth and young adult development, sexual orientation and gender identity education and advocacy, and emotional and physical well-being. Finally, Zaire is a man full of love, kindness, and beautiful adoration for his longtime partner of 20 years, Willie. We thank you, Zaire. We thank you for your longtime commitment to advocacy and celebrate you as a 2022 James Baldwin Legacy Award recipient.
While I'm speechless, I'm incredibly flattered to be amongst these brothers being honored. I want to say thank you, National Black Justice Coalition, David Johns, his board of directors, and the committee that put this on and selected me as to be one in the number. I want to share with you that this walk and this journey comes with some incredible support. I can't name them all, but I definitely want to highlight our board president, Antonio Johnson Seals, our board of directors, our board of advisors, and our young adult board of advisors. They collectively work the mission and they work it very well. And so I just want you to know I'm surrounded by greatness. LGBT Detroit will be 30 soon, and I have a tremendous staff of young people who I believe, close to my heart, that not only do they do a great job now, but they'll be able to continue to work this mission long after I make some decision in the near future. Like Camden said, I want to receive this honor in memory of my best friend, Robert Lee Pennick III. I grew up in the 80s. In the 80s, I walked right into a health crisis that turned gay lib into a time of healing and support for one another. And so thank you for this tremendous honor. It's definitely a memory of my best friend, Robert. I made a promise to him and his family, particularly his mother and father, that in all I do, his memory will be alive and well. Thank you very much.
We thank you, brother, for honoring your commitments and for showing up for so many of us in ways both big and small. I'll never forget when Camden received that note from you, and hope you also hear my heart when I say thank you. Our next torchbearer is my brother, Preston Mitchum, who is a policy director at the Trevor Project, and he will introduce Cleo Monago, who has been instrumental and influential in my leadership at NBJC. And anyone who has ever heard me talk has heard me use the term same gender loving, which was a gift given to us by Dr. Monago. Brother Mitchum, take it away.
Greetings. I'm Preston Mitchum. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm the Director of Advocacy and Government Affairs at the Trevor Project, the world's largest suicide prevention and mental health organization for LGBTQ youth. I am so honored to bear the torch for trailblazer Dr. Cleo Monago, one of this year's recipients of the James Baldwin Legacy Awards from the National Black Justice Coalition. In 1961, James Baldwin, my favorite writer, once said, "To be a Negro in this country and to be relatively conscious is to be in a rage almost all the time." Dr. Monago turned that rage into beautiful action. Dr. Monago is a movement influencer and policy change maker. He blazed the trail for the term he pioneered, same gender loving. an agitator for honesty about the racial politics and nuances missing from the white gay establishments in the 90s and even beyond. I am honored to pay homage as someone who helped launch and shine a light on language we use, such as inviting in. As opposed to coming out, which is often other-centered, inviting in is more person-centered and allows individual people to express themselves in a way that makes sense for them on their own terms. Through his work, Dr. Manago helped us understand the art of defining ourselves for ourselves. Dr. Manago deserves all of these flowers, and I am honored to pay homage today. Thanks to NBJC for honoring him as a 2022 James Baldwin Legacy Award honoree. It is well-deserved.
I guess it's my turn to speak. Thank you, brother, for the introduction. This is surreal, and I'm highly appreciative. Thank you to the National Black Justice Coalition, to Dr. David Johns and his team, and anybody else who inspired this moment. I am a historian as well as a social architect for the advancement, mental health, well-being, and power of Black people, diverse Black people, including same-gender loving people. And now that I have the mic, I want to make some things known that may not be known to this community because of the fact that a lot of my work happens outside of traditional LGBTQ label places. Even though it affirms people in that community, the foundation of my work is steeped in affirmation of people of African descent, because that's part of how you win. People who love themselves in their own image, whose cultural frame of reference do better than people's whose cultural frame of reference is that of their oppressors or their colonizers. And I believe that while we've had some strides made, would be that much better if we were intentionally and consistently loving ourselves in our own image as people of African descent, people who are different from Greeks and Italians and French and English, Britain, if you will, which is where gay, queer, all that stuff came from. That stuff has its place, but it doesn't affirm people that look like me. But I want to give some historical facts real quickly while people are listening. I have to say first that James Baldwin didn't identify as gay. James Baldwin was actively invited into gay politics and identity by white gays, but because he was a Black freedom fighter and he did not like racism, he did not accept that. And during the development of what's called gay, he called himself a homosexual. And that was not happenstance. That was him intently making sure that he identified who he was and not white people, particularly racist white people. I want to mention, because a lot of people don't know, that in 1989, the Amasi Center for Black Wellness and Culture was the first HIV/AIDS related institution steeped in a Black community context that did work around HIV prevention for Black folks. And the Black Men's Exchange was developed in 1989. And in 1990, the term same-gender loving emerged. And in 1992, the critical thinking and culture affirmation methodology was designed by myself, and it was finally evaluated as the Men of African American Legacy project at Charles Drew University. And the intervention was indeed proven to be efficacious and wound up part of the compendium for the Center for Disease Control. I have to say that because a lot of people don't know that, because white supremacy, while embodied in Black people and white people, can erase things that don't affirm white people. Also, in 1998, I was involved in a debate with the Nation of Islam, who was offended by the Black Men's Exchange being openly Black and same-gender loving in a Black community context in the confines of the Black community. And we had a debate with the Nation of Islam. We won that debate, and it inspired, some years later, our involvement in the Man Man March commemoration. And I was invited as the first same-gender loving Black man to address an international Black audience around issues relevant to same-gender loving people. That's very important to put out there because often people don't know that. And in 2013, I became the first same-gender loving Black man to be part of a nationally syndicated Black TV news show as a pundit. But on the TV One show with Roland Martin. So there's been a lot of firsts that I've been involved in. All that takes place in the context of Black community and culture. And it's something that I didn't expect white gays ever to acknowledge, and that's fine with me. But I want to make sure we know about it, because our youth need to learn that self-determination is part of how they will heal themselves and how they will deflect the dangers in their midst, including HIV and whatever else they come up with that could potentially compromise our health. But before I finish, which I will do at this point, I want to make people understand that SGL is a paradigmatic container for the affirmation, health, healing, well-being, and acknowledgement of the Black experience from a perspective of being somebody who is trans, bi, same-gender loving, gender nuanced, etc. Because people who love themselves in their own image win. People whose frame of reference empowers them and embraces them do better than people who use others as their frame of reference. Thank you so much, Dr. Johns, for this experience. And thank you to the brother that introduced me for the introduction. And it's also my pleasure to be in this elder circle. I'm one of those people that Brother Cheeks referred to earlier, who's like, elder, who are you talking about? But more and more, I'm embracing that and understanding that's indeed what I am. Though it always seems new to my ears because I feel like I felt 50 years ago. But I appreciate this honor and these flowers. And thank you for giving them to me while I can see them standing straight up. Ashe.
Our pleasure, our duty, our responsibility. I'm really thankful for you not only shattering ceilings, but for teaching the babies in the ways in which you do. Understanding the importance of language and phrasing and the power we have to imagine worlds that are free of white supremacy is one of the reasons why, excuse me, we created the Inviting In campaign, and why we also talk about the importance of or acknowledging that words matter. So really, really thankful to you and to our brother, Preston Mitchell. Our final torchbearer is Harold Phillips, who leads the White House Office of National AIDS Policy. Brother Phillips, take it away.
Hi, I'm Harold Phillips, and I'm the Director for the White House Office of National AIDS Policy. And I'm very excited to be with you virtually this evening as we present the James Baldwin Legacy Award to Dr. Eugene McCrae. Dr. Eugene McCrae was the Director for the Division of HIV/AIDS Prevention at CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, in 2014 when I first met him. But before that, he had done work in the Global AIDS Program, which later became PEPFAR, which set up HIV prevention programs both in Africa, Asia, the Caribbean, and Latin America. For me, Eugene McCrae, as a Black gay man in federal service at the time when he was the example of how this is to be done, how you are to take the knowledge and expertise that you have and pair it with ensuring that there were community voices involved in the decision-making for policy programs and research. He did all that at CDC and more. He also paved the way for many Black gay men coming into the federal government, whether it was CDC, whether it was HRSA, whether it was PEPFAR, and really was that model for many of us and a mentor in terms of how to both conduct ourselves, when to push, when to pull, when to sit silently, and then gather later on to figure out how to really get some things done. Dr. McCrae was a leader, an innovator, and when I took over the role of Chief Operating Officer for the Ending the HIV Epidemic, it really meant a lot to me to know that he had my back at CDC and would help us ensure solid implementation of the Ending the HIV Epidemic in the United States. Dr. McCrae, as I have said, is a leader, a mentor, a thought leader as well, and has had influence and will continue to inspire, support, and be the guidepost for many of us that are continuing to do the work in government. Even though he's retired, his legacy lives on. This is why Dr. Eugene McCrae is such an excellent candidate for the James Baldwin Legacy Award. Eugene, congratulations.
Hello, everyone. It's definitely an honor for me to be the recipient of the second James Baldwin Legacy Award. And I want to thank Harold, and particularly I want to thank Dr. Johns and his staff at the National Black Justice Coalition for really thinking of me and considering me for this award. You know, it's always challenging when you are honored or you're nominated for an honor. And you think, at least for me, I think about the many people that supported me along the way. And most of the successes that Harold talked about that I had over my 30 plus years at CDC were really a concerted effort that came from other people who were supporting me as well. One of the things I think I was very good at, I know I was very good at, was really supporting and mentoring people and having them in the spotlight for the work that they were doing. And so, you know, one of the things that I really focused on a lot in my work was ensuring that young people who were early in their careers, especially young Black men and Black women, African-American women, were able to really excel in the work and feel a part of the effort. And so when we went to the White House and we went to Congress, et cetera, I was there for support, but I let the people who were doing the work and who knew it best present and talk about it. One of the things that I wanted to share with you, I had the honor of meeting Maya Angelou many years ago when she was a professor at Wake Forest, which is where I went to medical school. And one of the thing that one of her quotes that I I remember, and I think it helped shape who I became as a physician, as a public health person, and as a community person. You know, she said that, you know, she said, I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you make them feel. And for me, that was always a motto in my work. It was important that I worked from the evidence that was there, but I also wanted to make sure that people who were working with me and supporting me and people who were coming into the federal government, especially Black men and women, felt good about who they were. And I wanted to make sure they knew they had my support. So again, let me just stop here and just say again, I really am honored. James Baldwin is my favorite author, and I had the pleasure of meeting him when I was actually a student at Morehouse many years ago, and then later at some social events. But you know, it's definitely an honor for me to be recognized, and I want to thank all of you for the support. Thank you.
We're thankful to you, Dr. McCray. That quote from our sister spirit guide, Aunt Maya, is one of my favorites. If nothing else, I hope that each of you were able to recall or remember some of the feelings that we hope we have inspired in you today. In this moment, I want to invite all of our honorees, the 2022 James Baldwin honorees, on stage as we present you with something that we hope will allow you to reflect upon this moment, a physical representation of flowers. This is a commissioned piece of art that is produced by Black same-gender loving woman, Rebecca Crouch. I call her Becky. She and her sister, Rachel, are members of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. They pledge Alpha Chapter at Howard University, and we are humbled to call them friends. But Rebecca produced this piece, which will be sent to each of you over the coming weeks, is our way of saying thank you for all that you have done and will continue to do.
Thank you very much. That's great.
I love the cars. From the Motor City.
Detroit.
Yeah, Black feminists always reference the signs, systems, and symbols that maintain white supremacy and that allow us to get free. And so I look forward to talking with you all as you discover more of those symbolic representations in that piece of art. And also you and your loved ones are able to enjoy it for many generations to come. Next up, as we land this plane, you will experience a toast provided by one of last year's honorees. and a member of our board of advisors. And then you'll hear from, again, Camden Hargrove, who will provide us with a call of action, ways for us to support our elders and those members of our community who are aging. As my Nana would say, just keep on living. So this really is applicable to all of us. Let's hear from them.
My name is Kyler Broadus, founder and director of the Trans People of Color Coalition and a 2021 Baldwin awardee. And I want to offer my sincere congratulations to all of you, the new awardees of the James Baldwin Legacy Awards. It is a privilege to see another group of incredible men being honored for their work and leadership that has made it possible for us all to do the work we do. You represent Ubuntu's true spirit. I am because you are. Thank you for consistently showing up in the spaces you do without apology. Thank you for creating a space and laying a path to ensure that those in our community can live freer lives. Your dedication to liberation, justice, and equity has ensured that our movements have made progress. You continue to be an inspiration for the next generation of activists and warriors who will follow the map you drew for us. I raise a toast to each of you, our 2022 James Baldwin Award honorees, and to the torchbearers who helped us honor each of you today. This toast is also to the members of Team NBJC, including Sharon Letman, our CEO and board chair, Dr. David J. Johns, Executive Director, and Victoria Kirby, our Deputy Director for Policy and Programs, who help fuel our efforts. Let's raise our cups and sip our tea, or whatever your fancy might be, in honor of each of you. Cheers.
As we close out our program, I leave you with a call to action so that we can all work to improve the lives of our elders. There are several pieces of legislation that will improve life opportunities and outcomes for aging and elderly members of our community that you can advocate for. Support the proposed Medicare physician fee schedule's inclusion of medically necessary dental care in Medicare. The lack of coverage currently leaves oral care unaffordable for millions and is especially important for our community given the racism and lack of access in the field during our seniors' youth. Provide a comment on the necessity for this before September 6th. You can also provide comments on reinstating key provisions of the ACA's Section 1557, the non-discrimination requirements, which were repealed by the previous administration. It also provides new provisions responding to recent legal and policy developments. The securing of a strong retirement act, which was passed with bipartisan support in the House, works to increase retirement savings and simplify retirement plans and rules. The Equality Act will provide clear and consistent non-discrimination protections for Black women, Black trans, queer, and non-binary people. This act is essential for members of our community as Black LGBTQ SGL elders reported the highest level of lifetime LGBTQ-related discrimination. Call the Capitol Switchboard at 202-224-3121 and encourage your representatives to vote yes on all of these bills.
Thank you, Camden, for the reminder of how powerful we are and hopefully the encouragement for people to leverage their power, in the words of Sharon Lemon Hicks. Thank you again to our torchbearers and to each and every one of our honorees. Also want to thank again AARP for your partnership and your support. Major thank you to the team at NBJC who make everything possible, and in particular today's event producer, Tom Cunningham, and associate event producer Emily Lugers. Also want to say thank you to Victoria Kirby York and to Camden Hargrove. If anyone had trouble following the agency alphabet soup earlier, follow up with Victoria, who manages our programs and policies, so we can help you go deeper there. Also want to give a special shout out, underscoring a point that Kyler made, to say thank you to Sharon Lemon Hicks, our board chair and CEO, as she is responsible for conceiving of this way to honor our icons. And to everyone who has joined us today or who will receive this in the future, thank you for the gift of your time and attention. Please share this program with the people in your life and across digital platforms as a way to make sure that these brothers and brothers similarly positioned like them receive their flowers for decades to come. And if there's any way that we can be a resource to you in ensuring that every member of our beautifully diverse community gets free, I hope that you will take us up on the opportunity to partner. Let's do it. Let's all get free. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Because being successful shouldn't have anything to do with who we are, our state of being, but we are still limiting ourselves because it's still about comparing ourselves to this based on.
So I would say that you actually bring up a bigger issue of just inclusivity in the Black culture and community in general. What community do I fall into? Because I can go into one Black community and say, no, you're watered down. I go to the white community and say, no, you're money.
But what happens to the folks on the inside who realize that they are being abused and torn apart and they can't do anything about it?
In terms of symptoms, funding that helps pay for HIV meds but not accepted by all pharmacies, the cost of medicine, the requirement of HIV people to go to abusive spaces.
We talk about capitalism and we want to take it away, but what do we replace it with? And for people who want some sort of currency, people who want to feel valid, people who want to feel powerful, money is there. The only thing that I know that's bigger than money is love.